Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. In the ongoing saga of the lawsuits against this ATF pistol brace rule, which I've been documenting every Sunday now for a few months, we've got some good news and we've got some bad news. So I'm going to bring you those updates today. Unfortunately, we're going to start with the bad news, but there is hope. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to Sawtooth Tactical and hit that notification bell. So I'm going to try to keep this video relatively brief so that it is easy to consume and just get the information that you guys, I'm sure, are looking for. Just for a little recap, the ATF has decided that basically all pistols with stabilizing braces, like AR pistols, AK pistols, MP5s, BNTs, all of these things are now going to be considered short-barreled rifles and either need to be registered as NFA items, or you can go through a litany of other things, putting a 16-inch barrel on, destroying the firearm, taking off the brace, a bunch of things, all of which I consider to be unreasonable when these are things that we have been legally able to purchase and own for a decade now, in fact, slightly over a decade. And all of a sudden, the ATF is telling us that we're all felons if we don't go through their registration scheme and get put on a list. So, there have been a number of lawsuits filed by different gun rights organizations ever since this pistol brace rule first came about. We are exactly halfway into the 120-day grace period at this time. 60 days was the day before yesterday. So, right now we are looking for something big to happen so that we don't get caught in a situation where we, either have to become felons or, participate in this registration scheme. So, a couple of the bigger lawsuits. The first one, like I said, is going to be the bad news. Now, this is the Firearms Policy Coalition, or the FPC. Their lawsuit in the Northern District of Texas. This is Mock v. Garland. And they're looking for a preliminary injunction. And unfortunately, we lost. The judge ruled against us on this, which is very weird. This is a judge that has actually ruled in favor of Second Amendment cases in the past, but he ruled against us in this one on a number of levels having to do with the Administrative Procedures Act, some other things. I'm not going to get into every single detail. Like I said, I want to keep this video relatively succinct, but one thing that I wanted to talk about in this, I have consistently said in these videos that I couldn't see how any judge that was reasonable and logical could rule against us in any of these cases. But that's exactly what happened here. And one of the things that I thought didn't make a whole lot of sense to me is the whole common use thing. So, in my opinion, and I don't believe this is just my opinion, but braced pistols, even SBRs, short-barreled rifles, and things like suppressors now, are absolutely in common use. Now, this common use test was used for stun guns years ago, and there's something like 529,000 out there in the population, and they considered those in common use. Well, there are significantly more braced pistols than that. Now, the ATF is saying that there are probably about 3 million of them. But everyone else is saying that there's between 10 and 40 million. And part of the reason for that is that the ATF didn't include sales numbers from 2020 on, which were the years that companies like SB Tactical sold the highest number of braces. So that lowball 3 million number is absolutely off base here. But unfortunately, that's what this judge went with when he was applying the common use test. And So what he said is that there are 3 million braced firearms out there. Again, like I said, there are probably between 10 and 40 million by most estimates. But he also went with the number 600,000 of currently registered SBRs, or short-barreled rifles, coming to a total of 3.6 million, what are considered now to be SBRs, out of a total of 400 million firearms owned in the United States by the general public. That comes to just under 1% of the total firearms. About 0.9% of the total firearms owned by the public are SBRs. And I'm not saying that these braced pistols are SBRs. This is what this judge has said. And so he's saying that 0.9% of the total firearms, that doesn't reach the level to be considered common use. Now, if you took the higher end estimate of 40 million braced pistols out there, and then you also add the 600,000 currently registered SBRs, you get closer to 11% of the total number of privately owned firearms in the country. 10%, pretty much exactly, 40 million out of 400 million, that's easy math. That is 10% of the entire population of firearms owned are braced pistols. I would say that that is common use. And even if you're not taking a percentage of privately owned firearms, just the fact that we're looking even at this judge's lowball estimate taken from the ATF, which is obviously going to estimate low because that works in their favor, we're still talking 3.6 million SBRs, 3 million of which are currently or have been braced firearms, braced pistols. 3 million is a lot more than the 529,000 stun guns that were considered to be in common use. So this is what I'm talking about logic. I don't really understand this judge's logic. And granted, I obviously have a personal bias to be on the side of the Second Amendment. But I'm also a fairly intelligent and logical person. And to me, over 3 million, that should be considered common use. Anyway, he ruled against us on multiple other levels as well. But now for the good news, I do believe that we still have hope here. There are other lawsuits. The GOA, Gun Owners of America, and Texas, they have asked for a national preliminary injunction before April 1st. Now, I'm filming this video on April 1st, and I haven't heard of a ruling one way or the other yet today. Hopefully, by the time that this video is posted, maybe we will have this national preliminary injunction, and if so, I will absolutely make an update video and let you guys know, and we will all go out and shoot our braced firearms without any kind of fear or worry about being considered felons for shooting the firearms that we bought legally and have been able to own and use this whole time without repercussion as law-abiding gun owners, right? So that's the hope that I have for now. There are a number of other things. If you've been following along, paying attention, you know what went on in Congress last week. Unfortunately, because of the shooting at the Christian school, they postponed the markup. They were going to have a vote about basically, nullifying this whole pistol brace rule that the ATF is going after. They did postpone that because of what was going on, and that the left was trying to use that to gain political points against us. Hopefully they don't postpone it for too long. We are on a time limit here. We've got less than 2 months left before this all comes to a head. And so we definitely need something to happen right away. So hopefully it will. I will keep you guys updated. If this video brought you any information that was worthwhile to you, or if you enjoyed this or were entertained at all, please subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical. Give me a thumbs up, share these videos, and leave me comments. Tell me what you know, what you think about all this. Those things really help the algorithm, and that's how these videos actually get out there. Without the comments and the likes and all that, and especially hitting the subscribe button, it's really hard for me to get these videos out there to be seen by a lot of people. So if you can, please help me out. It's greatly appreciated. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.